Hello everybody and welcome back to RogueTech, where we need to do some repairs here, no doubt about that. There's in fact a fair amount of repairs that need to end up happening here. Now of course our crossbow has been modified, and let's kick forward, it's going to be 18 days before that is back. I don't know if we want to wait that entire time. For the time being, this is actually looking kind of okay. Apparently people went skinny dipping in the pool. Let's just erase the recording and pretend it didn't happen. Morale increases by 10, and that is absolutely fine. Cool. So we'll continue here, and we are going to continue to tick forward. We've got about 6 days on the hydroponics garden, but everything's going to be repaired fairly soon here, other than the Bandersnatch, of course. So that's okay. We can move these guys up, not like it really helps at all. But the enhanced hydroponics gardens are now completed, and let's hop into the engineering and get ourselves an upgrade to the bar. So that'll be an additional +1 tech points, which will, of course, be convenient. So we're going to get these last couple of repairs done, only a couple days on that. And now we're good to deploy one more time before we probably aren't going to be able to this financial report. But let's see what kind of difficulty we end up getting. If it's not a lot of damage that we take, it's probably fine.
Yep. I'm ready.
So looking our way through this, there does not appear to be too much that we need. A point of piloting for GV would be absolutely fine. A point of guts for hard case sounds good. Anybody else here? Well, a point of gunnery, maxing out Magus's gunnery. I like it. Anybody else here? A point of tactics for Rook sounds good. What else do we have? A point of piloting for Savarok. That seems fine. And for Squire, a point of piloting as well. And for Weasel Cakes, nothing. Okay, that sounds good. Let's hop into the command center. We want to find something that is good pay, but probably that we're not going to get all that much damage from. Something that we can in and out pretty quickly. And honestly, I'm kind of leaning towards... These are both duo duels. This is a solo duel. I'm looking for these lower payment amounts at this moment. Something like this would be very tough, likely. And I don't want to do something like that at this point. I'd like to just make easy money here. That's the ideal scenario. We could run something like this capture base. It's against Steiner. I'm kind of tempted to do this. It's no free priority salvage, so we'd run it straight down the middle, or here perhaps. You know what? Let's run it here. I'm interested in the cash, for sure. This will pay for the majority of this financial report. And hopefully it would be something that we can take quickly enough with as little damage as possible so that we can then just deploy again this financial report. That would be the ideal scenario. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen, but we can see what happens here. So I want to double check what we put into this crossbow here. LRM-15s, 2 of them. Yeah, that makes sense. So this is kind of an upgrade, but kind of a downgrade at the same time, since we are ending up losing our Artemis. But I think that's broadly okay. So let's deploy this as is and see what we've got. Darius thinks it'll be hard. He may or may not be correct. I will see you guys after the loading screen. Okay, so here we are all loaded up, and let's see what we've got. I mean, we are setting up an ambush on ourselves, but... hopefully we won't take too much damage from it. So we need to capture the outpost, and that will be right up over here, apparently. Okay. We don't want to capture this right away, I don't think. So let's see what we've got going on here. Okay, so there's definitely enemies here. Taking up this position, I think, would be decent. It's uphill, so if they come at us this way, we'll have a height advantage. We can fire from this cover. We can also advance over here and have decent LOS. The other option would be to spawn like down here. That's a terrible location, or way out here. So I think that we spawn up in these trees up over here, or very close to them. So let's just spawn something like this and see what ends up happening. What do we got? Okay, so obviously we have contact right off the bat. These are our allies out over here. They're in a decent position. That's an enemy Centurion, a Zeus, a Griffin. And what was this up over here? This was a Hunchback. Okay. We do see a heavy light Gauss emplacement. We see a heavy LBX emplacement. A heavy AC turret. Those have got to go away very, very rapidly indeed. There's also a heavy UAC turret here. So we're going to have to eliminate those quickly. We are fairly exposed to that fire, so that is absolutely noted. We have these allied units out over here. I think this is what we're going to do. We're going to take our archer. Oh, this is a heavy AC turret right here. Right. I'm going to take the archer out into whatever cover we can make it to. Something like this. There we go. And our allied units are going to move up a bit. That's a Liberty. Noted.
Commander.
This rifleman is going to position out over here in this cover. That's all looking good for now. And we're going to close in on these turrets. We're going to want to eliminate them as quickly as possible, for sure. Now, there's going to almost certainly be another lance out there somewhere. I'm going to take the Epimetheus and sprint it forward as it can go. It's probably going to head over and attack this heavy AC turret with a melee attack as soon as it can. So that looks good. Our long-range attacks are probably going to focus on the... I'm just thinking here. 2 light Gauss rifles, 2 LBX AC-10s, and possibly 3 UAC-2s.
Talk to me.
Okay, that's not the scariest in the world. I'm going to put our crossbow X here and brace it.
I'm moving.
That'll be fine for now. These guys move pretty late in the move order, don't they? At least on this phase. That's okay. We're fine with that. So this is our crossbow here. I would like to put that out in this cover out over here.
Consider me
Looks
there.
good. We want to eliminate these turrets before they can fire. Luckily, we're spawn protected for right now. We're going to move the Grasshopper in over this way for the time being. That'll be fine. I want our fire support to kind of attack the 2 up over here while our closer range units attack these 2. And then we'll deal with the mechs after that, is the overall concept here. We haven't technically scouted the military outpost yet either, so that is definitely noted. So our Marauder, I'm going to position somewhere around here. We have multiple targets that we can fire on with that, and that'll be okay. I don't expect this turret to last very long, which is why we're kind of bypassing it with some of these other mechs. I expect our Crossbow X or our Grasshopper or even our Epimetheus to be able to just melee this heavy AC turret and get through it very, very quickly. So that's the overall idea there. The Marksman SPG is going to remain out in cover over here. And our Nidhogg is going to start accelerating up. I'm not convinced that we want to blow bombs right away. We have a good view of the outpost, and there are defensive turrets. Yep, we're aware of that.
I'm still reading
so these are the Steiner forces. We need to occupy the outpost and destroy these turrets. I'm not going to occupy it yet. So that Perseus moves forward. That's fine for the moment. That's a Zeus out over there that we did know about. Okay, and our Devastator, I kind of want to take one of our vehicles out over this way.
Double tap.
And the other one down this direction. So that'll be the overall concept of how we're going to approach this assault.
Ready for orders.
We're just kind of splitting up our forces and focusing on the turrets first. Okay, next round. So we need to get all of these turrets gone before our units move. Or rather, before all of our units move. So that's the idea. Phase 23 is just going to be this Centurion. This isn't a big deal. It moves up and fires on our Nidhogg. Okay. That's fairly irrelevant, all things considered. So that looks good. The Nidhogg doesn't move for a while yet, but our Crossbow X moves right away. So I want to hit this heavy AC turret here, and it doesn't matter what angle we hit it from. I just want it gone. This should probably end up killing it. Unless we have bad crit luck here, but that's 120 damage in from the melee attack alone, so I think we're good here. There we go. Fantastic. So -1 turret. 3 to go. Next up is going to be an allied unit, and I'd like to see that attack like this heavy light Gauss emplacement. The Liberty moves and fires on what? The Zeus. This seems like a bad shot. That's a really top-down shot. I don't like that attack, but they did soften up that Zeus a little bit anyway. So phase 20 is going to be the next mover, this Hunchy. Okay. That looks like an AC-10, I think that said. 4MJ. AC-20. Okay, noted.
What can I do
So
for
our
you?
archer is just going to hold still here. We can soften up the heavy LBX emplacement, and this is exactly what I want to do. So we're going to fire Artemis missiles at this heavy LBX emplacement. That'll do a lot of damage to it, but that did actually expose the structure. and got a number of crits. That could have destroyed it, straight up. But it didn't. That's fine. So that heavy LBX emplacement can't take much more. It's very close to gone. So that is noted. We'll see what our allied unit does here. This is probably their helicopter with how long it took to move. Yeah, that's that warrior. Okay, that goes for the heavy LBX there and finishes it off. I like it. That's a really good choice then. Beautiful. So next up in Phase 19 is, of course, going to be the Griffin. That is not a very powerful mech. But we've already eliminated 2 turrets, and we've only moved 2 units, so this is looking really good. The Griffin moves up to that tree line and fires on the Liberty. Okay, it gets a decent side arc attack there, and structure exposes. I mean, it's not our Liberty, so what do we care? Next up, we could fire on this heavy light Gauss emplacement or on this heavy UAC turret. We're going to take the heavy UAC turret here. Do we want to fire standard ammo? We probably don't want to fire listen kill here, and SAM and ER are, I think, useless in this juncture. So, yeah, just fire on the heavy UAC. Okay. Good armor damage there. Did we almost penetrated the armor. Sounds good. Next up is an allied unit. Let's see what it does. That'll be this guy, the archer. Firing at that heavy UAC turret. It could destroy it here. Beautiful. It's gone. Okay, so that's 3 turrets out of here already. This is going really, really well. So next up is our Marauder. The Marauder is going to position here. I don't want to occupy the base yet. So we're going to position here. We're going to fire on this heavy light Gauss emplacement, which is, you know, a little oxymoronic with it being heavy light, but light it up. So that's a lot of armor damage, and we tagged it. Next up is an allied unit, which could finish the job on it. It's Phase 17. It could be like this. Okay, it's the Perseus. And it didn't fire. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to put our Grasshopper here, and we're finishing the job on this heavy light Gauss emplacement. It should die to this.
Now let's see how you handle this.
And there we go. No more turrets. They do not get to fire. Yeah, we stray-shotted this building a little bit, but it's fine. I'm sure our employer won't mind. So next up, we need to eliminate these mechs, right? And these guys have 5 evasive, 4 evasive, 2 evasive, 4 evasive. We can probably get some pretty decent shots on these. That Prowler moves up and sensor locks that Centurion before lobbing a couple of missiles at it. Okay, seems fine. So our Black Knight is going to end up moving out over this direction. I don't love these positions. I'm going to take this sprint, and we're going to fire on this Griffin. These hit odds are not tremendous. We did sprint and target moved, so yep, that is not shocking. I'm going to fire the binary laser in X2 mode to increase the odds of it hitting at least one of those. It actually hit both, which is great. I'm super happy about that. So next up is going to be an allied unit, and that Griffin is doing pretty well still. What is this angle? Okay, there we go. That Griffin is doing reasonably well still, but this archer moves up and chooses not to fire. Commander. I don't love that choice. Okay. We could position here. This is a potential stray shot on the Grasshopper with that AC-20. This is a better position, but it will expose us to potentially reinforcements by taking this capture zone. I feel like these guys are not a huge threat to us. So if the reinforcements come in, I don't mind. I'm going to position the Epi Prime here, and we're going to fire on this Griffin. Now, this is not high hit odds, but we'll take it. Ooh, we hit with the autocannon. It's a structure exposure. None of the follow-up damage went into that exposed structure, but that Griffin is not doing well at this point. Okay, so Phase 14 is their final mover. That'll be this Zeus. Presumably it climbs the hill and tries to fire on us. Wow.
Bastards took one of my guns.
I did not expect it to get all of those shots into the arm there and just eliminate that arm like that. That was a really good shot. We lose an MRM-20 out of that. I believe we have a replacement MRM-20, but that is a little painful. No doubt about that. That's rough. I'm going to position our rifleman here, and we can fire on the Griffin or on the Hunchy. The Hunchy is the better hit odds, and so we're going to take that.
Engaging target.
But that was really good clustering from that Zeus. No doubt about that. So we managed to do a little damage to that Hunchy. I'm going to move our Nidhogg up here. Do we want to drop bombs? The answer is not this round. So I'm going to position it here. I'm not going to drop our bombs at this point. Well, maybe I drop a weapons bay bomb just to get the high explosive in this torso. But this will be hitting on this side. Yeah, let's do this. I don't want to do a big nuke because we don't know what's following this up. But we get a high explosive attack there into that Griffin, and that definitely did a lot of damage. It's now got 2 structure exposures. That seems good. Marksman SPG, we should target this Griffin, to be honest. I'm going to fire this probably in artillery mode. Yeah, I don't like the direct angle here. So in artillery mode, and we did a little bit of splash damage there. The Griffin is now unsteady, so that is good. Our Devastator is going to head off over this direction. I like this angling. And we can fire on that Hunchback. Only 34.5% hit odds. I'm going to fire precision ammo here to boost that up to about 50-50. We did hit one of those, and that's a structure exposure on that Hunchback, so that looks good. Losing that MRM is really unfortunate, though. It's just an arm, so that's not the biggest of deals. I'm going to move our jerry-rig demolisher up here. I'm not going to fire the eye rockets at this time, but we are going to fire everything else into this Griffin. We are crit fishing, and this could do a lot to the Griffin. That was a lot of damage, no doubt about it.
Connection on that one.
Okay, looks solid. So next round, we have occupied. I did not see additional forces land. Okay, so the Centurion moves. And it is going to fire on the Epiprime. That is absolutely fine. We do not care about the Epiprime taking a little bit of damage here. It is baked.
Hard hit there.
So that looks good. I'm still a little bit shocked that they managed to cluster their attacks in on the crossbow like that, but in retrospect, I should have taken this position. I was concerned about taking fire from the turrets and not this, but that's fine. I'm pretty sure we've got an MRM-20. And if not, we can potentially rework the crossbow a little bit. It's not a big deal. So the Hunchback is going to move up and fire on that warrior. It gets very little done on 9 evasive, which is not shocking. And next up, I want to move the crossbow X. So I want to protect that left side a little bit, but it's not really that big of a deal. I'll position it about here, and we're going to fire on almost certainly the Griffin here. We can get a kill on it, and the Griffin, unlike the Centurion, hasn't moved. And there we go. -1 Griffin. So the Centurion is now in a very dangerous position. It is pretty exposed where it's at. And it's not going to be happy about that. The Perseus moves up, fires on that Centurion. That is a good smattering of damage. I don't think it penetrates the armor. No, that was good, though. That was very good. I like it. So our Rifleman is going to position somewhere around here. I want to continue to fire on that Centurion. Light him up. Nice, clear line of fire. We managed to hit 2 of those shots, doing a fair amount of damage to the Centurion's armor. Looks good. Next up, we have 4 allied movers. That's a lot, and they're probably going to focus... Okay, going for the Zeus here, side arc. My plan is to nuke the Zeus from the rear arc with the Nidhogg. Oh yeah, definitely. So we want to move the Nidhogg like out over here or so, and then nuke rear arc, but I would prefer it if they would attack this Griffin. The Zeus is irrelevant. Okay, the Hunchy is fine. I'm completely fine with hitting the Hunchback. Just not the Zeus, please. What else do we have here? Okay, that's the Archer. It moves up, also firing on the Hunchback. I like it. That's a lot of armor damage to that Hunchback. Looks good. So the Grasshopper is going to step forward to here, and we're going to fire on this Centurion. These hit odds aren't quite as good as I would like here. It's mostly just a lot of little things, but a lot of that is the evasive on that Centurion. Let's light him up and see what we get done there. A little bit of internal damage, but not a lot done there. That's okay.
I hear ya.
Next up is our archer, and I want the archer to move. That's an interrupted LOS. This is an uninterrupted LOS. We're going to position it here and fire on that centurion. This is very likely actually a kill shot.
We can do this. Let's go.
Okay, so the engine melts down and does some damage to our allied units there. That's okay. Next up is, and that's actually the jerry-rig demolisher there. But next up is the Nidhogg, and we want to get up into this rear arc, right? So somewhere around here is ideal. We're going to position it here. I'm going to fire the high explosive bomb here, and we're going to just nuke this guy. I expect this to kill it. I'm not going to fire the AoE Rocket 10 at this time.
Going to the angle. Taking the shot. Damn, let's do this.
Remarkable that it survived that. It only had 30 HP in that rear armor. It has, like, nothing left. Okay. Not quite the crits that we needed, but that's fine. What are they going to do? Shoot at our archer? Okay. It's absolutely fine. So next up is our marksman SPG. I am going to fire on this Zeus. Absolutely. We'd like to get a rear arc hit on it, but it's kind of facing an awkward direction for that. Okay, it ends up being in its, I believe that's its strong side, out over there. But it doesn't really matter. That's mostly armor damage, and he doesn't have much armor left. So the Epi Prime is not really able to get anywhere useful. It's just going to sprint forward and sink heat. That's okay. Next up is our crossbow, and I want to fire into the side arc of this hunchback. Are we better off? Let's see here. How many missiles are we actually firing here? 50? Okay. Yeah, go ahead and fire this into the side arc of this hunchback. So that's a lot of side arc damage there. That hunchback is not going to survive too much longer. The Black Knight is going to need to climb the hill, but it's not going to get LOS. That'll be a next round sort of thing. And then our Marauder is pretty much... Oh, hello. There's LOS out over here. Take it. That is on that hunchback. Do it. Internal damage there. Foot destruction. Not quite the crits we were hoping for, but it does get some damage dealt. That sounds good. Next up is our Devastator. And the Devastator is just going to position here in a clear line of sight on this hunchback. Light him up. This could easily be a kill shot.
Locked on target.
That is a huge amount of damage dealt.
Flip the dog war.
Probably a knockdown. Yep, that is indeed a knockdown. No pilot ejection from that, which is slightly remarkable. Now, the jerry-rig demolisher, I want it to move somewhere where it can get an LOS on that Zeus, which apparently does not exist. I am shocked that this isn't an LOS on the Zeus. I guess it's down in a little bit of a dip there. Is there anything? Ah, here's some LOSs on the Zeus. They're pretty far away. Can we get there without sprinting? No. Well, we'll take the shot.
On the move.
The Zeus doesn't have a lot of damage left. We can fire our eye rockets and try to eliminate the Zeus as quickly as possible. That was a lot of damage there. We got a head hit on the Zeus, and he lost his evasion. Panic level critical. And next round. I was hoping to get them dead before that round, but no such luck. So the Crossbow X needs to move forward. That's as good as it can do for right now.
Good to go.
The Archer is going to lob missiles into definitely the Hunchback. I'm a little surprised these hit odds are that low when it's knocked down. Long range, okay. Go for the kill.
Here we go.
I'm hoping for a Hunchback ejection at any rate from that. Nope, no ejection. Okay. Well, that guy has basically no armor. Well, he has no armor left in the CT. The Warrior does not actually do anything
How's it
useful.
going?
The Nidhogg, I'm going to put somewhere out over here. We're going for the kill on the Zeus, and I think firing the bomb guided here is fine because of potential splash damage. Do it.
Target lock on rear arm.
Okay, so the Zeus is out of here, as expected. All that is left now is that Hunchback, and it is not going to stick around long. It's not moving until phase 6. The Liberty is firing on the Hunchback now. Any of these shots could be a kill shot. Okay, pilot ejection. Fantastic. So we just need to pacify the area around the base now.
On my way.
So this indicates that there's... The fact that it didn't end there indicates that there's probably another lance coming. So let's just make our way to cover for now. And just see what we've got going on. We don't know about any other lance, but there likely is one. So the crossbow is going to position out over here. That's fine. I am definitely sad about losing that MRM-20, but we'll see what else we can get. I'm going to take... There's definitely a dropship inbound over here. Okay, I'm going to position here. We can take the Marauder, which is fresh, out over this way. Just in case this is the enemy dropship, but it probably isn't. That's probably our evac dropship. The Rifleman is going to come up over here, and the Black Knight can come over, say, this direction.
On the move.
That'll be fine. If there is another lance, where is it? I do kind of expect that, to be clear. This is going to be our SPG. We'll just brace that.
I'm picking up a
There
new
they are.
sensor trace.
Right
Looks like
here.
enemy reinforcements.
Dropping right on top of us. Okay, so we see a mortar carrier, a Strider, an LRM carrier, and something else over here. Well, that's an LRM carrier. We can eliminate these very quickly. So, to that end, they just spawned. I'm wondering about meleeing these. We could maybe just roll rear arc melees on the off chance that we hit it. Do it. They have 12 evasive, so it's a little bit tough to hit. But let's get going on this.
It's go time.
This is going to be pretty quick to take these out once we can actually hit them.
Let's get
Okay, so we did some damage there for sure.
to do.
Next up is going to be our Crossbow X, which that's going to come down over here. I don't really want to move the Crossbow X yet because of that 12 evasive. So I'm going to reserve that.
Let them come. I'll be
Next
waiting.
up is a Phase 24 mover, which is the allied unit that is right here. I'm not actually sure what unit that is. Prowler MTV. That goes for the Strider. It does not actually move, and it doesn't hit the Strider because of its evasive. That's okay. We just need these guys to move once so that we can just obliterate them, is the idea here. So Phase 23, next up is going to be the Warrior H7C here. We'll see where that ends up going. Moves down this direction, fires on that LRM carrier. It does get a couple of hits in there, so that's okay. Cool. Next up is the Liberty, firing also on that LRM carrier, softening up that front armor, which we know in an LRM carrier, the frontal armor is very weak. I still don't want to move the Crossbow X, so I'm going to reserve that. Now we have a target, and that target is going to be this Strider. So the Strider will move first, and let's see what he decides to do. He doesn't have much for damage, that's for sure. What are you going to do? This is all very low tonnage, really. So he backs off a little bit and goes for what? Our Archer rear arc? Okay. The Archer rear arc can sustain that. That's not actually a
That
problem.
hit hard.
Okay, next up is our Crossbow X, and I want that to position somewhere out over... I'd like to remain in the cover here. Here might be an interesting position. Yeah, do it. So we don't have enough standard ammo to fire like this, but we could fire in Listen Kill for our LRM-15s, and that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Affirmative.
Light up that Strider, and we'll just do some front arc damage to it.
I'm out of LRM.
Yep, as expected. So how much
Reporting
evasive
heavy
did he
damage.
have there? 6? Okay, noted.
Yes, Commander.
So the Marauder can come down over this direction, but I'm going to actually reserve it here. I want to allow another unit to move. So this is going to end up being this LRM carrier, and that might try to go in on the rear arc angle on our Archer. It could do some serious damage there, in theory, if it gets good clustering, but we'll see what it decides to do. Any moment now. You can do it, LRM carrier. What are you going to do? An interesting choice. Why the Rifleman? Which moves right now.
Receiving you.
I don't think that's a good choice, to be clear. I'm going to move the Rifleman right over here, and we're just going to return fire on this LRM carrier. They should have gone for the Archer, but it was probably minimum range. So we don't eliminate the LRM carrier, but we did a lot of damage to it. So now they're going to move their remaining 2 units. So they're going to move their LRM carrier and their mortar carrier that is located right here. Cool. We can respond to each of these. So if they're smart, their LRM carrier would move out like over here and try to hit the rear arc again on our riflemen. But instead, they're going for the Black Knight. Okay. They do end up destroying a couple of things there. Really? Hang on. Did that actually penetrate the armor? Was that all through armor destructions there? It did. It's just not showing up correctly here. Okay, that's fine. We can replace all of those. That's not a concern, and the Black Knight moves right now. So we're going to position it here. We could go for this LRM carrier or this LRM carrier. I don't like the rear arc on the rifleman, so I'm going to go for this one. And we'll just soften up this front arc. Not great shots there, but I didn't expect fantastic shots. So next they're going to move their mortar carrier. And what's the plan on that one? They're probably going to continue to hit rear arcs here because we had no idea where they were coming in. But then we'll get to move, and they will cease to exist. So that'll be fine. What are you going to do, mortar carrier? Going for the Epi Prime? That's even side arc. And we're braced, so that's irrelevant. Beautiful. Okay, I don't care about that. So next up is our jerry-rig demolisher. Why don't you come on in here? It's obstructed LOS, but we can very, very likely finish off this LRM carrier just from here. Wow, we only hit a couple of machine gun shots there. We didn't get any solid crits there either, but that's okay. The Epi Prime is going to come in and finish the job. So the Strider is low hit odds. Let's hit the LRM carrier here. It's definitely dead. And there we go. So -1 LRM carrier. That is 25% of the reinforcements gone. It was very rude of them to drop it exactly on our fire support, but whatever. So our Crossbow X is going to move up. The only one that we can hit here is the Strider, and that is indeed exactly who we're going for. I'm going to fire improved hit odds here.
Copy that.
Okay. So he was in cover with the 20% damage reduction. That is understood. Next up is an allied unit. In fact, several allied units, but we are going to get to move one unit in between. That LRM carrier is out of here. Perfect. So now all that is left is the mortar carrier and the Strider. So we are going to move our Grasshopper. The Grasshopper does get a shot on the Strider. I'm going to position it here. This is really more of a pot shot than anything, but let's see what happens. That was very close to hitting the AC-20, and the AC-20 would have done a lot of damage to that Strider. Sadly, it did not. Our allies, however, are going to move up in Archer and fire on that mortar carrier. That's fine. And what else do we got? So we definitely took some internal damage on some of our units there, but it's nothing too crazy.
I await your command.
That's for sure. I'm not going to fire with this Devastator,
Onward.
I don't think. I don't like this firing line. So we'll just brace that. That'll be okay. Next up is our Nidhogg. And the Nidhogg is going to head as over here as it can, which isn't very. And we're going to fire on that Strider. Only 25% hit odds. Do we want to attempt to fire an Arrow 4 here? I feel like the chance of splash damaging our Archer is high. But I'm going to do it anyway.
Give them everything you've got.
We did indeed splash damage our Archer.
Through my armor, Commander.
Yep, I'm aware of that. But
under
what I
heavy
wanted
fire.
to do was I wanted to hit this guy with something big. And that's exactly what we did. So next up is going to be our Marauder. The Marauder can position out over here and fire on that Strider. We're building up the instability on the Strider, but it's not very high yet. Unfortunately, we missed everything
No
there.
retreat.
So that's absolutely fine. So next up is going to be our marksman SPG, and
Standing by.
that is going to turn over this way, turning its other side here.
Acknowledged.
And I want to fire on the Strider, probably here. 38% hit odds on that large laser. I'm not firing the artillery, but that was an internal shot there. Nice. Torso destruction on the Strider, making him unskid. Now he's probably going to move basically instantly here. Phase 21. Okay, so our allies have a mover first. That's that Liberty. Yeah, hit that Strider. This is likely a kill shot. A knockdown? Well, it's better than nothing. Okay. So next up is our Crossbow X. The Crossbow X is going to move in over here. We're finishing off this Strider. It is so gone.
Target confirmed.
It has no chance of
I'll
surviving.
break 'em.
So that looks good.
That's one less hostile on the field.
Indeed it is. And our allies are going to move twice. Now, there's still that mortar carrier in here. The Perseus moves up and does not attack. I think that's because it's awkwardly having two units in the same hex here. But they are attacking the mortar carrier here. Looks good. The mortar carrier moves phase 17. We can almost certainly destroy it before that.
Commander?
So we're going to melee attack the mortar carrier here. Much higher hit odds now. It's almost certainly gone.
Ah,
Successful melee, as expected.
we can do this! Let's go!
Structural exposure. And one dead mortar carrier. Perfect. Dropship inbound, and we are just out of here at this point. So, there were definitely a few instances of reasonably heavy damage here. The question is, do we have an MRM-20? Everything else, I'm quite confident that we can replace. We did lose 3 double heat sinks on our Black Knight there, which is painful, but we had absolutely no indicator on where those reinforcements were going to come in. It was a little bit unfortunate that they spawned right on top of our fire support like that and had rear arc on like everything. But what are you going to do? So at this point, we did get about 2 million C-bills, which is a good amount of C-bills, no doubt about that. We took some internal damage that we're going to need to repair. I want to check through this real quick here. LRM 15. There is a couple of Artemis attachments here. A single double heatsink. Okay. Not a whole lot in terms of MRM replacements. I guess that's fine. I'm going to take these Artemis attachments. That'll be okay. And this generic heatsink we probably don't need. How many double heatsinks do we have? We have 3 right now, so this will give us enough plus 1. Artemis SRM and generic structure. Okay, sure. That seems fine. We're going to need to do some repairs, though. Our Black Knight, our Crossbow X, and I believe our Archer? I don't know 100% on that. But our Crossbow X is going to need its arm replaced, for sure. And I don't know if we have an MRM-20 in stock. If we don't, we could loot our MRM-30 from our Epimetheus, perhaps, and replace that with something else. I don't know. I'd have to think about that. What would we replace it with? LRMs? Maybe. Maybe we replace on our crossbow with SRMs and go for like Deadfire SRMs. Yeah, go ahead and do this, Yang. And I want to get these repairs done yet this episode. Well, not actually tick forward, but I want to cancel work on our Crossbow X, our Rifleman, our Black Knight, our Archer. I don't think the Epimetheus needs it, but I'm actually going to do that as well. Okay, so let's hop in here. Let's do these manually, these repairs manually. That'll be fine. So the Epi Prime needs a refit here. And we're just going to max out the armor and call that good. So we max out that armor. That should be good. But I just wanted to make absolutely sure about that. So that looks good. Next up is our crossbow, which should be... This should be... I don't think it took any damage. I want to double check that. The Grasshopper definitely didn't take damage. No, this is correct. Okay, so the Grasshopper definitely didn't take damage, nor did the Marauder. The Black Knight is going to need some internal work here. Specifically, we need to replace some heat sinks and lasers. It was all right over here. It all clustered in there. So we're going to repair all. We're going to max out this armor. And we wanted to put in a medium pulse laser, which we definitely have. Where is this? Medium pulse laser, a medium laser as well. So we're just replacing everything here. And then 3 double heat sinks. That all looks good. So 3 double heat sinks go in here. We are a little short on double heat sinks, but this will be fine for now. There we go. We'll confirm that. And next, we're going to go for the archer here, which it looks like we can just do this, but I'm going to not do that for now. I don't think this actually took any crits, but I want to go in here and just make absolutely sure. So we'll repair all, max armor. That looks good. Yeah, that was not actually maxing the armor, so that'll be fine. Next up is going to be the rifleman. So we'll refit this. Did this take any crits internally? No. Okay. Just max out that armor. That'll do. Yeah, I know we're 1.05 tons underweight. Not much we can do about that, sadly. And then there's the Crossbow X. This one will require a little bit more extensive work. Specifically, we lost this arm. So we'll repair all here. We lost a medium laser and an MRM-20. Let's max out the armor over there. And do we have an MRM-20? We do, actually. So we'll slot in an MRM-20. In fact, we have 2. So that's great. We can then just put in a medium laser and not worry too much about this. Excellent. We'll validate that. That looks good. It'll be a little bit underweight, but there's not a lot we can do about that. We already maxed out the armor. It's about a 1/4 ton, and that'll do. So it will take some time to get these repairs done, particularly the Black Knight, but that's fine. The Black Knight is going to take 8 days, so we would be Sans Black Knight if we wanted to deploy again, but the others we might be able to get done in time. Heavy on the maybe. No, it would be done on the same day as the financial report. So we want to do something like this. At any rate, it's past time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we're going to get these repairs done and work on getting ourselves additional funding. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Shadow Wolf, Kentogan, Ali Lee, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Soccerman12 UK, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.